Hey, welcome to this edition of Picture This, where we look at pictures, illustrations, and object lessons that lead us to biblical truth. Have you ever had one of those moments in life when you just feel like the bottom has just dropped right out? Maybe it came with a phone call late at night, or maybe it came with a doctor's report. Or you heard those words, "I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do." Or maybe it's the boss who says, "Hey, we just don't need you anymore." Or maybe it's watching someone drift away emotionally, spiritually, or physically. It's sort of like you're driving down a familiar road. You're thinking that the journey ahead is going to be smooth, when all of a sudden the pavement just seems to disappear. What was once solid now becomes unstable. What felt predictable in the beginning becomes frightening. You get these feelings like this, like it's staring at a pile of bills that you just can't pay, or walking into an empty, quiet house after a funeral. Maybe it's sitting in church with a smile, and yet your heart is breaking inside. Maybe it's watching dreams you've held for years just seem to slip through those fingers. No one plans for these moments. No one schedules grief. No one anticipates that life will turn out this way. But sooner or later, every one of us walks through a season when the foundations of our lives crack beneath us. And when you're in them, you wonder, where is God? Does he see me? Does he care? Why would he allow this? How do I go on? This is exactly where Ruth chapter 1 begins. The Book of Ruth doesn't open with joy or romance or even redemption at that point. It opens with ruin. A family forced to leave home because of famine. A woman who buries her husband and her 2 sons. A heart broken beyond words. And really believing that God may have turned against her. This begins where many of us live right now, in confusion or loss or pain or loneliness or even uncertainty. But the beauty of Ruth chapter 1 is when the bottom falls out, God is already working behind the scenes. When it all seems to be lost, God is quietly preparing redemption. You see, the story of Ruth reminds us that the dark chapters of life are not the final chapters. God is present in pain. God is purposeful in sorrow. God is faithful in every step, even when we cannot see him. I'd invite you to join with us Sunday night, 6 o'clock here at the church as we have our Sunday evening service. We're going to be focusing on the Book of Ruth, from ruin to redemption, yet very practical for where many of us live our lives today. Thanks for joining with me on this edition of Picture This. God bless.